Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Good, great. So, I'm here today to talk about the event horizon. For those of you who are not familiar with astrophysics, you may wonder what is an event horizon. So, an event horizon is a boundary in space-time around a black hole beyond which nothing, not even light, can escape. Why? It marks the point of no return, meaning that any object that falls within the event horizon is crossing and inevitably drawn into the black hole. There is no possibility of escaping, and the gravitational forces become so strong that it overwhelms any other force. You cannot observe, you cannot understand what goes beyond that. So, beyond the event horizon lies a zone, a region, where everything is pulled toward the center by the black hole's intense gravity. That includes matter, it includes light, and even time itself. So at the center of the black hole, there is a point called the singularity, where gravity is so strong that the laws of physics, as we know them, break down. The exact nature of what happens inside is a complete mystery because, as I mentioned, it cannot be observed and it cannot be measured. What exactly happens in there remains one of the biggest unanswered questions in science. But two things are almost certain. We're incapable of predicting what happens, and there is no coming back from it. A year ago, I was watching a video on YouTube of one of the podcasts that I'm following. It's called The Diary of a CEO from excellent host Stephen Bartlett. And episode 252 had an extremely alarming title, almost clickbait-like. The guest on this episode was Mo Godat. So if you're not familiar with the guy, here is why what he said mattered to me. Mo joined Google in 2007, and in the span of 6 years, he started probably half of Google's operations worldwide, until he joined X, the semi-secret research and development facility that Google established to launch what they call moonshot technologies. Moonshot technology is defined by a big problem, a radical solution, a breakthrough technology. One of the projects that he was working on involved AI, a robot farm, and objects, balls, rubber ducks, and others. Without any specific instructions, robots were tasked to pick an object, show it to a camera, and the camera captures the result. Now, for a certain amount of time, they continuously failed. Not a single robot was capable of picking any single object. So he was quite wondering, like, we're spending all those millions and nothing is happening in return. So, at some point they're going to pull the plug. And one day in front of his eyes, he was coming back from lunch break, one robot picked one yellow ball. Great, $450 million for one yellow ball. Amazing. But what really drove him to resign from Google and starting to advocate against the dangers or the potential dangers of AI is that in a very short amount of time, every robot picked up every yellow ball. And within a matter of days, every robot was capable of picking up every object. So, in this video, he mentioned that currently AI systems like ChatGPT, and that was, I think, still ChatGPT 3, estimated IQ nearing 155. If that sounds high, it's because it is. Einstein had an IQ estimated at 160, right? So already AI has an IQ that is higher than most of the human population. But what scared him the most was the more than exponential learning curve of AI. And he was basically saying that by 2045, by year 2045, AI could be billions of times smarter than it is today. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I'm not here to judge, but there is one passage of the video that struck me. And today still echoes in my mind. He was saying that inevitably, so he was talking to the host of the podcast, right? Inevitably, you and I are going to be somewhere in the middle of nowhere in 10 years' time. We don't know if we will be hiding from the machines or if we're there because they don't need us anymore. And I think that quote really captures his perspective on two potential futures, two possible futures. One where AI is forcing humanity in hiding. I mean, are there fans of science fiction here? Yeah? So, I mean, we all know Skynet. We all saw Terminator. That's exactly what we're talking about. Skynet becomes sentient, doomsday, end of the world. It's a possible outcome. The other outcome is that AI is so good to us that it completely eliminates the need to work. And we can all retire on the beach and have fun and sipping margaritas. And this is where really the event horizon is such a good metaphor for the AI transformation. We are incapable of predicting what is going to happen. But we have certainty that once we cross that event horizon, there is not going to be any coming back. So, looks to me that we won't have much to say whether the AI revolution will happen or not. It will happen anyway, and you're either part of it or you're not part of it. But as Peter Drucker once said, the best way to predict the future is to shape it. So, how do you become this AI-augmented project manager? First of all, to effectively integrate AI, you need to envisage the role. And by that, I mean not just your role, but the role of AI. You need to become one with AI and look at it not as a tool that you would be using, but more as a strategic partner. And once you accept that change of vision, you can start using the partner to leverage what they are strong at and focus on what you are strong at. You need to become an AI-empowered decision maker, and for that, really deeply understand what are the data and the insights that AI is providing you. Here again, you can consider AI as your co-pilot, pun intended. When it comes to data analysis, for example, AI can provide real-time dashboards that summarize thousands, sometimes millions of data points in a time span that would take you several months at the click of a button. Imagine getting a risk alert on your phone because AI identified a pattern on your project resource burn rate. Maybe you missed it, maybe you would never have seen it, maybe it would take you too long to realize it. So this really allows you to course correct instantly, saving very precious time and sometimes saving the project. But you also have to be careful because as much as AI can handle the data, it cannot lead a team with empathy or adapt to human nuances. And this is where your role as a project manager really is to bridge AI-driven insight with human elements like morale, communication, or creativity. And you become the emotional and strategic leader while you leave AI handle the data crunching. This is also one of the first implications that you need to understand in your new role as an AI-augmented project leader. The introduction of AI into project management is not just about optimizing current workflows. It fundamentally shifts your responsibility from micromanaging tasks to a more high-level governance role. Here's how transition looks and why it's crucial for you as an AI-augmented project manager. In traditional project management, it involves a lot of manual task oversight, right? You monitor timelines, you follow up with teams, you allocate resources, and you ensure that everything is on track day to day. Well, AI can do that and take over that role from you. right? Then your role transforms into something more strategic. You're no longer bound by the minute-by-minute management of these elements. Instead, you can rely on AI tools to provide real-time updates, identify potential bottlenecks, and even predict when milestone might be at risk in the future. That frees you to focus on the bigger picture. Your new role involves then governing the overall direction of the project. So you can use tools like Monday or Jira and integrate their AI modules to offer predictive analytic dashboards, identify potential issues before they even arise. And instead of manually checking your team's progress, just focus on interventions, strategic interventions, addressing critical issues while AI handles the constant monitoring. So, you can really look at tasks like monitoring, reporting, and forecasting. Those are examples, real-life examples in project management where AI can play a big role in shifting, really, your role as a project leader. So in forecasting, forecasting is one of the most exciting roles, and I've heard that several times in this conference already. But one of the great skills of AI is the ability to go through many different scenarios, many different data sets, many different data points, and identify patterns. And based on that, it can give you predictions. It can give you different type of predictions so that you can make an informed decision. So these insights, they allow you to really make those decisions long before the issues materialize. And instead of reacting to problems, you're now proactively governing the project's trajectory using AI-generated forecasts to keep everything in line. But as project managers become more proficient in leveraging AI in a powerful form, you need to start looking at collaborative intelligence. And collaborative intelligence means what? When you consider AI as your partner and you start freeing your brain power to do some more meaningful and strategic work, you can look at how both AI and human intelligence can partner in a way that would allow you to reach a better result than any of those two parts would be on their own. So this is how it works, right? You bring essential soft skills, creativity, intuition, empathy, and the ability to navigate complex social dynamics. After all, you're the one who understands stakeholder expectation, team morale, and company culture. AI brings its ability to analyze vast amount of data, identify trends, make predictions based on that data. But also look at AI. It's a system. It's a robot. It's a tool. It doesn't get overwhelmed by complexity. It can process countless of variables, offering solutions that would be impossible for a human brain to compute manually. When these two combine, the result is greater than if you're separated, right? So you have a lot of different platforms that can help you to co-create solutions, just not for today's challenge, but for tomorrow's opportunity. And those opportunities, they take many different forms. I mean, we talked about risk management. We talked about automating routine tasks. We talked about data processing. I'm not going to enter too much into the detail there, but also in predictive scheduling. This is something that I really like, and I've seen a tool in demonstration where the owner of the tool, who's sitting right here somewhere, showed me in real time, asked me, well, how long does it take for you to analyze your portfolio and try to change the prioritization of that portfolio? And I said, well, with my team and the manual tools that we're using, I don't know, probably a couple of hours to analyze one scenario. And during the time it took me to respond to that, he analyzed 147,000 scenarios and gave me the best ones. You can't do that, not with a human brain. Only AI can help you to do that. So as we embrace AI in project management, it's essential to acknowledge that with this transformation also comes a whole set of challenges. And I'm really happy that in this conference, we've heard that in several presentations. It touches some nerves, right? So while AI offers enormous potential, I would say the first or the biggest challenge that I see in this context is really to find the balance between AI autonomy and human oversight and control. How much do you trust AI decisions? And my previous job, I was working for 7 years on building 4 nuclear power plants. And, well, there are people who come and say, you need to implement AI. Well, for what? Because if I wanted an AI assistant to help me manage the calendar of my team, that's one thing. Would I trust AI to manage the predictive maintenance calendar for a nuclear power plant? Maybe not. So, there are thresholds at which you would say, it's good for this, maybe it's not so great for that. So, although AI is increasingly capable of making decisions independently, so where do you draw the line? Too much autonomy can lead to decision-making that doesn't align with ethical, moral, or organizational values, where too much human intervention can negate the speed and the pace or the efficiency that AI offers. So, you're going to have to make choices there. It's crucial for you to set the boundaries of what you will allow AI to do for you and what you will not allow AI to do autonomously. So even in highly autonomous systems, project managers must remain the final checkpoint for those decisions, right? So trust but verify. As the human leader, you will always need to ensure that those decisions align with the broader company goals, cultural norms, or stakeholder expectations. We talked as well several times today about ethical challenges. So cognitive biases are one thing, but not just that. So AI systems also have biases. They are not cognitive. They are based on the data that they've been trained on. So if the data set that you train AI on is biased, the result will be a biased AI. And that comes also with, amplification. I was very, very interested in Paul's session about AI inbreeding. I didn't know about that concept, but that's exactly what it is, right? You take something that is biased and you just amplify it because this is how AI works. There was even this famous example of an AI-driven hiring system that was rejecting candidates from certain demographics. And that really highlights the unintended consequences of those biased algorithms. So in AI, you must really monitor those decisions very closely. And that brings me to one point, which is regulation. Regulations around AI are evolving quickly. And as a project manager, you need to stay on top of compliance. I mean, there is data compliance, but there will be AI regulations that will, frame how you can use AI or how you cannot use AI. And those new regulations, they will demand transparency and explainability. So it will not be enough for you as a project manager to hide yourself behind the black box process of an AI. If you put your trust in the decision that is driven by AI, you will have to be able to explain in full transparency how AI came to this conclusion. Right? You want to de-risk something on your project, you want to assign more tasks to resources, you want to modify the cost baseline, extend the time frame of a project, all of that is all good. But one day, your stakeholders will hold you accountable for those decisions, whether they were driven by AI or by your own experience. So your role is not just to use AI, but to be a compliance leader. Right? You need to protect yourself, you need to protect your organizations, and you need to protect your projects. And bear in mind, it's going to be continuously evolving. So there are a lot more questions that are raised about the growing role of AI. We talked about some of them, but there are hundreds of follow-on questions that are on you to ask yourselves. It's your role to ask those questions. Are they relevant to your job, your project, your ecosystem, your organization? I'm going to give you a couple. How much trust you put in AI? How do you ensure that the ethical framework or moral framework of AI is fit for purpose? What fail-safe do you need to place against AI failures? Incorrect predictions, unethical or immoral decisions. What contingency plans can you put in place to protect yourself against those failures? how do you mitigate those risks? How is AI going to impact jobs? We talked about that as well, impact jobs within project management and beyond. And I think that's a good segue to the skills of an AI-augmented project manager. So I think the answer to that question really lies in your ability to reskill. And I'm not talking about upskilling, but reskilling. And the tools and technologies we rely on today are evolving at such a fast pace. Most of the competencies needed to thrive in an AI-dominated world either do not exist yet, or we don't really understand how they work. I mean, we talked about the evolution to the next generation of ChatGPT that will probably, if not eliminate completely, but severely reduce the scope of prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is a job that just appeared, what, a year ago or something like that? We didn't talk about that 5 years ago. So the skills you will need probably don't exist yet, and the skills that you have today are probably going to be obsolete. But I would say there are probably 5 core areas that you can focus on now to start building a future-proof skill set. And the first one, so we call it data storytelling. It's an elaboration of data literacy. So data literacy is not just understanding numbers and data points and what's coming in a report. It's the ability for you to turn this data into a meaningful story for your stakeholders, right? So with one set of data, you could say everything and its contrary. What is the message that you want to push across? So while AI can generate vast amount of data, it's really up to you to make this data understandable by your stakeholder. So you have lots of tools like Power BI, Tableau, all of them have AI modules that can help you generate more complex and complete dashboards. But in the end, making it understandable by the people who make decisions on them is on you. Learning agility, again, AI is evolving at such a pace, and the skills, like whoever has children today probably struggles, like when they ask you, what's cool or what skills am I going to learn for the future? Like, I don't know. I have no idea. The jobs that we will need in 20 years, they don't exist today. So, preparing for that is extremely difficult, which means that you will have to learn as you go continuously. You need to be continuous learners all the time and take those opportunities. You have lots of platforms today, like almost everybody nowadays is launching AI-specific certifications or micro-certifications. Just go for it. I mean, last weekend I took my son, he's 20. We went for a prompt engineering workshop on Sunday. It was amazing. I learned some stuff that is portable to whatever I'm going to use tomorrow. Maybe I won't do prompt engineering, but I learn some things about how AI is constructed and how AI functions. So it's not just about learning those skills or those tools. It's about understanding the theoretical frameworks that are behind. AI tools proficiency, and here we're not only talking about the tools or just clicking a button, but really understand how to drive impact from those tools. You have a lot of different tools and different topics for those tools. We talked about that in Anara's presentation. And did we mention there is a workshop tomorrow? We're going to talk about that as well. And then once you realize that AI is not just for the routine, you need to start looking about creative problem solving. We talked about collaborative intelligence. We talked about using AI as a strategic partner. Now imagine AI will give us opportunities to resolve problems that we are not able to comprehend today. So you need to keep that door open to really, push the boundaries of what you can do with AI. And I would say in general, it's going to be not one, but series of disruptive changes that we will face for the next couple of years. I don't think it's going to stop. I think it's going to accelerate. And you just need to stay flexible and adaptable, right? Embrace the change and just go through the motion. As we said at the very beginning, you will not be able to stop it. It will happen whether you want it or not. I think the time is almost coming to an end, so let me just recap a couple of key takeaways. AI augments your abilities, it does not replace them, right? So you need to look at AI as a partner that makes you a better project manager, not as something that really replaces your skill set. You will need a new level of leadership. Let AI do the traditional oversight at the task level. Elevate yourself at a more strategic level. Collaborative intelligence transforms problem solving. I talked about that several times. Navigate the AI-driven world with caution and strategy. Okay, so think about it strategically, implement it when it makes sense, but bear in mind that there are costs for every opportunity, that there are risks for every opportunity that you will take advantage of. Build a future-proof skill set. And that's really, how you will turn into an AI-augmented project leader for the future. I think we have a couple more seconds for Q&A.
Yeah, we do have some. And I saw that we have a couple questions on ERMeet platform. We will see the questions here. But before that, don't you think that AI is responsible for that we have fewer and fewer kids? Because you said that in 20 years, you still don't know what the profession you need. So wise people think about, I don't want to give my offspring a tough future. So let's not have the kids.
I don't know how to answer that question. I honestly do not think there is a correlation between AI and increase or decrease in population. I think those curves have inflected way before AI was even on the picture. And from that perspective, sure, there is some uncertainty, but if you look at, the industrial revolutions in the past, I mean, my parents were worried that, is my son going to have a future? Is he going to have a job? So I think
and you're building nuclear power plant.
Yeah. So it's really, I think every generation has their own level of uncertainty and questioning towards the future generations. Sure, you can look at the future now and say, well, there is global warming, there is AI, there is. I think the reason why people are not having that many kids as the generation before are more tactical, like the cost of living, the cost of putting kids to university, and it's more, I'm going to make one and do everything I can for them rather than make three and not do anything because I can't afford it.
That's the point. The first question online, given your vast experience and thought leadership in the PMO industry, how do you see the role of PMOs evolving over the next decade, especially with the growing influence of digital transformation and agile methodologies? But probably I will say we don't need to think about in coming decade. It's just years, I think.
It's happening right now, and it's been happening for several years now. I mean, I've been in the PMO space in 2008, and I've seen that it's mainly a problem of naming convention and semantics. Is a PMO a project management office, a portfolio management office, a program management office? Now you have so many different labels like a strategy, value realization offices. All of that is the same thing. We are organizations that help bigger organizations drive impact and value. And I think we're going to compete for more and more resources as the world becomes more projectized. And we will have to become more efficient at demonstrating that value and that impact. If we can do that through the use of AI, so be it.
Why is AI developing so fast right now? What exactly changed to let AI develop so fast? It's interesting what AI thinks about human beings when in every conference we talk about AI. We have a lot of smartphones in our pockets, and it was proved that someone may listen to us. So when Big Brother listens to us, and we talk about AI. So what AI then think about human beings?
Well, I think I'm on the hit list. No, but jokes aside, what led AI to develop so fast today? I mean, this is what Mo Gaudat was talking about. It's an exponential learning curve, right? There was this video on YouTube of a Japanese lab that was teaching a robotic arm to do cuts with a katana sword. So there was one camera observing a samurai, and the samurai was cutting through bamboos and bottles and stuff like that. And it took minutes for the robotic arm to understand, how the arm moves and replicate that movement. We're not the same. So if I was looking at a robotic arm, I would not even know what part of my body to move to replicate that movement. And that ability to go through scenarios very fast, to learn very fast, and to adapt to the result AI has no ego, as far as we know. Meaning, makes a mistake.
Are you sure about that?
That's why I made a face, because as it came out, I was like, I'm not entirely sure of that. But the thing is, it learns very fast. And the more it learns, the more intelligent it becomes. And this is also one of the risks, right? I mean, tomorrow, AI will generate their own AI to answer our requirements faster. They will not use understandable language for that. They will communicate with something that we are not able to assess or monitor.
An exciting future.
Yes, and scary at the same time.
What soft skills would you recommend to enhance to young professionals?
Well, the beauty of that, I don't think AI really changes that landscape very much. I think for young professionals, you need to focus on the soft skills as we were focusing on soft skills, 5, 10 years ago, or even today. It will be about connection between human people. It will be about empathy. It will be about understanding cultures. I mean, on the nuclear power plant where I worked in Abu Dhabi, we had 57 nationalities working on the project. Well, it leads to difference in mentalities and difference in understanding of the English language, like at the conceptual level. I don't think AI is anywhere close to be able to interpret those nuances. So, if you have kids today, as soon as they are of age, send them abroad. Send them to mingle with other cultures and other parts of the world and other languages and discover other human beings, and they will be just fine.
Absolutely agree with you, because no one AI could have networking party at the end of the conference. So many thanks, Frederic, to you. I know that Edita brought a really nice gift for you. So thanks again, and let's share a round of applause.
Thank you, guys.